In recent years, we often hear the terms socio-emotional skills or non-cognitive abilities. Many studies have suggested that these skills are crucial for running our social life smoothly compared to cognitive abilities such as IQ. Research on socio-emotional skills has been increasing in psychology. Today, researchers are actively conducting studies on the development of individual differences in socio-emotional skills. For example, a person who has more of a particular personality trait can be mentally healthier even decades later compared to others who have less of that trait. Generally speaking, it may not seem interesting that an individual's psychological characteristics, such as personality traits, are related to the same individual's psychological characteristics. However, we have recently discovered that people with certain personality traits have the capacity to stay physically healthier for longer, suggesting that the mind affects the body. Other studies have shown that certain personality traits can influence the physical and mental health of those close to you, such as your spouse. In other words, your mind also affects the physical well-being of people around you. Interestingly, personality traits formed by your daily thoughts, attitudes, and behaviors have a significant impact on others and vice versa. When people are asked, how do you think our personality traits are formed, many of them would say it is through our own experience and environment. Consider the example of a child who was unfortunately abused by his or her parents and developed delinquent behaviors. We often tend to focus on this person's adverse home environment by emphasizing the crucial role of the parent's behaviors. Is the home environment the sole reason for the child's delinquent behaviors? We inherit 50% of our parents' genes, and therefore, the genetic influences on any of our behavioral traits cannot be ignored. Human behavioral genetic research can statistically distinguish between genetic and environmental influences by comparing monozygotic and dizygotic twins' similarities and differences by using survey and observational data. Such research has repeatedly dismissed the nurture assumption that the parent's environment is the critical factor in a child's development and demonstrated that parental effects might be smaller than often assumed. We should not ignore the perspective that genetic factors related to the parent's violent behavior affect the child's violent behavior. Parents' personality traits positively and highly correlate with children's personality traits. We tend to think of this similarity as the result of what can be seen with our own eyes, such as the family environment and child-rearing practices. This is because humans have a bias against noticing the influences of unseen things, including genes. If there is a negative connection between the generations, such as child maltreatment, we need to determine their real causes. Surveys and observations can only consider phenotypes, which may misinterpret the results of intergenerational transmission studies because they cannot take into account the genetic influences shared between parents and children. Human behavioral genetic research based on twin or pedigree methods is a rare and promising methodology relevant to examining such issues because this approach can unravel the confounding of genetic and environmental influences. If environmental effects are robustly detected even after controlling for genetic effects, it would confirm the high likelihood of developing interventions and support methods. We believe that it is essential to consider the environmental impact through genetic effects and vice versa. At the Developmental Personality Science Lab, we study the underlying mechanisms of genetic and environmental etiologies in personality traits, socio-emotional skills, psychiatric symptoms, problem behaviors, and physical health from educational and developmental psychology perspectives. We are looking forward to the opportunity of working with you.